All right. Hello, coffee makers, not coffee takers. We are here for a special episode as the Cyber Coffee Hour and the other side of the firewall team up for a special episode. I have here with me my partner here, the Master of Cyber Farms, Alfredo Bean Jr., and I, the People's Chief, Dr. Joseph J. Burt Miller Jr., and we're your hosts for the Cyber Coffee Hour. Here again today, we have Ryan Williams from the other side of the firewall.
What's going on?
Sir, Dane.
Going.
And Mr. Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
All right, representing again the other side of the firewall. So for today's show, the host of the Cyber Coffee Hour and the other side of the firewall will discuss the recent MasterCard acquisition of Recorded Future. Oh, should be good. But before we get into that, I think I just want to take some time to recognize this moment because, for one, just being perfectly honest, this doesn't happen all too often. At least not that I see, especially for Black and people of color, doing this, content creators doing this type of thing, and just don't really see it, to be honest. So maybe just go around the virtual room. Maybe so Ryan, just want to share this, like your journey into the space, into podcasting, and being able to just find this type of community where you're do this work and know that you're feeding back in, you're giving back.
No, absolutely. So first off, thank you very much for having us on the show. I think this is maybe the second time I've been on somebody else's show, and it's a great experience. Put your feet up, relax. That's my L's drive, right? No, but have you on the show, Dr. Joseph? I would say it was either late last year or early this year, right? And then just getting to meet you, get your experience and what have you, and then learning about you and Alfredo's journey, and then interacting with Alfredo. I think it was through a webinar.
Yes,
me and you interacted for the first time. So it's just cool to come full circle and then be on your show to have this experience. So again, greatly appreciate you having us on.
No, absolutely. Shannon?
What's going on? Hey, I'm going to second what Ryan says, right? So like, this is one of those things where usually it's, guests coming on, to ours, and it does feel a little different, right? Like, I don't know how I feel about this, from the pre-production stuff. Like, it feels like it's going to be a good show, just talking and, shooting the breeze and whatnot. I think it's going to be really good. It's, again, much appreciated, So.
Absolutely. Daniel?
Just blessed. I mean, I don't know. There's a saying, like, I don't typically like to be the smartest person in the room. I usually never am. And then luckily surrounding myself with people like you guys that are trying to, embrace people of color, Black people, just trying to bring people into this community, teach them, hey, it's not scary. It's not impossible. It's not foreign. I mean, even me and Ryan, we hadn't spoken in about 8 years, and I saw what he was developing, and I was really drawn to it. And I said, you know what? It wasn't even the best timing. I was transitioning, moving over to Japan. One job fell through. There was a lot of life changes, but I said, if not now, when, right? I need to stop making excuses. Yeah. And I reached out to Ryan and I said, hey, I've seen what you've grown and developed. It's amazing. What are the chances I could get on and just co-host one time? And, it was really good chemistry between me, Shannon, and him. And it grew into something more. And I really appreciate the opportunity from him to join his. And now we're doing a collaboration with you guys. So it's just, kind of almost like a dream come true, honestly. So it's kismet for me. This is like awesome, for real.
Oh man, don't make me cry today, bro. Don't make me cry today.
This dust might sit here somewhere,
He's always so thoughtful, right?
Right.
Let me.
Alfredo.
So to follow on to Daniel, and we talked about this in our formation, right? I was kind of shook. I'm gonna be real. Dr. Joseph got me through a lot of social anxiety, a lot of talking in public, and a lot of the lack of representation that I was actually like, I don't know if we could do this, right? I don't know if we could do this. And I listened to you guys from the beginning. I think it was like 3 moderators in the beginning and someone left. And I was like, yo, they're pretty cool, man. We should kind of like look at them as the leaders in industry, because I do the market research. So I'm like, hey, man, they got a cool dynamic. How can we build off of that, but be different and also welcoming? So here we are, right? And I'm so glad we're doing this, because I honestly, like I said, I was kind of like mulling the wheel saying, we got to be perfect. we got to fit in. Who's going to listen to us?
Right.
They're not going to want to hear what we have to say. So now it's finally great to have caught up to you guys and brought you guys on the platform to continue to keep this ball rolling, man. So,
oh, absolutely. So shout out to Levon Maynard. That's the third person you're thinking
yes.
of.
Yes,
Right,
yes,
It was his time zone, and he was moving and stuff like that. Like I would love to get him back on. We'll see if we can sync up.
Nice.
Yeah,
And I think it was him that said, "There's no secret that we're working multiple jobs." I think it was when I stopped the episode. Was a transition for me in my career, and I reconnected, like you said, with you guys through LinkedIn. I finally realized you were on LinkedIn too. Going back to our offline offset conversation, like, where are these guys at?
Right.
Yeah. And I guess for me, just being a crazy consumer of podcasts and really having a love for cybersecurity. So I'm looking for, of course, those cybersecurity podcast outlets, and specifically for Black hosts doing this. So once I stumbled upon the other side of the firewall, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. It's like a play on like the Microsoft logo, but it has all the shades of color of skin on there. So that's pretty awesome. So I like that.
I appreciate you peeped that. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
That was my inspiration at the beginning. That's
the inner creative has spoken.
I definitely feed that, man. I thought that was pretty cool, man. I appreciate that. No, yeah, I would definitely listen to you guys, when I'm home my walks or, working out, whatever. And that gave me, I mean, and this is pre Cyber Coffee Hour, before it was even thought of. It just gave me that inspiration of like what I would like for something like this to be, if I, like I said before we got started, what I would do, like how it would look like. And no, just be able to listen to you guys, and it just gave me a bit of that motivation, or I say inspiration to develop something for myself. And so then once our friends and I got together, we talked about it, and when we got to work, and our friends have mentioned it, already, just having that anxiety because you're doing something new, you're really putting yourself out there to the world, like literally. So it can be scary, but you can't let that fear, paralyze you. You just have to really just go forward and do it. You can worry about other things, like if it's gonna stink or whatever, or people gonna listen or whatever the case is. You can't worry about those things. You just gotta do it. And then, but as you're doing it, you're learning. You keep learning. You keep making improvements. I mean, doing stuff like this, like as you're able to reach out to other content creators, be able to pick up things from them, just learn and continue to get better. So I think that's the main thing, because if you look at any content creator from their day one to where they are now, is going to be vastly different.
Oh, absolutely.
So the main thing is that you just start. So for those listening out there, if you're thinking about being a content creator, don't worry about having it all together. Just start recording. Hit the record button and just put out something. And I think also too, and the side part of that is also the consistency. Start, but then stay consistent. Like whatever it is, just stay consistent with it. Keep doing it. Keep going after it. And then you're going to improve. You're going to get better. You're going to have people that's going to reach out to you, offer advice that's going to help you and see you succeed. If that's something you really want to do, something that really moves you, inspires you, do it. Don't let anyone stop you. And like, again, you'll surprise yourself of how, where the heights you reach, because we could be our own self enemy, right? Like we could definitely talk ourselves out of pretty much anything.
100%.
So we have to learn to rise above that and understand, like, hey, this is something I really want to do. Yeah, I may suck on day one, but when I get to day 100, I'm gonna be much better. You know what I'm saying? And then keep learning after that. So I'm very appreciative. Oh, no, go ahead.
I'll tack on too. It just dawned on me. We had that analysis paralysis looking at the podcast industry, right? So we said, hey, one thing that Dr. Joseph helped me get over is who doesn't want this message. I kept like recycling that in my brain. And then now I know, I looked at the incumbent, you guys in the industry, and Hacker Valley. And then we started to say, well, they're pretty exciting. And then what's missing from this industry? How can we fit in? So we got tired of like the boring, like which newsreels and the consistent updates from high level CISOs And we started to say, hey, how can we disrupt that to fit into this industry? So once we locked that in, that helped me, especially, and both of us, get over that fear and get out there. So like looking at the industry and saying, well, it's missing me, it's missing the coffee hour, and I can assist those in the industry without disruption, like in the startup world. Hey, let's get it done, right? So that was the aha achieved moment, like Dr. Joseph said, let's record, let's just get it out there. And then we formed up as an organization. So listening to you guys, listening to other podcasters, we said, hey, if there's anyone that wants to stop the message out, we'll be bolstered to handle that as a company.
Right.
So that was the dawning moment for us. Like, hey, we could take that on the company and just keep rolling. Like, take the hit and keep rolling, pretty much.
Yeah, if I may, just a note on anxiety. I would say if you are a person out there who is anxious, right? Because who isn't, especially coming out of the pandemic. So that was the inspiration to finally, that was the final push, right? Like I was still active duty. I arrived to Turkey, and Turkey wasn't playing. Like Florida was wide open when I left Florida, but when I arrived to Turkey, they were like, "You will leave the terminal. You'll go straight to your hotel room for 2 weeks, and you will not pass go. Do not collect $200." Right?
Man.
So
Yeah, wow.
like I went to full lockdown. I went straight like the middle of the night. I was on a bus from the terminal to my hotel room, and I didn't leave it. So just four walls, and I reached out to Shannon. I reached out to Levon, and I was like, "Hey, I got this idea. Can we make this happen?" Just for my own outlet, right?
You're right.
And then that kind of grew from there. Like, cause I'm a person who does suffer from anxiety, and I've met so many people through the podcast that then I can, I already have that comfortability. I've already had that feedback from them. I kind of already know their personality. So then when I do meet them in real life at conventions and things of that nature, I at least have one person or a group of people I know before I'm overwhelmed by the masses, so to speak, right? So
Right.
if you are an anxious person or a shy person, I would say podcasting is a good outlet to get rolling.
Nice.
He doesn't come off that way in person. Like if you ever meet him in person, like he stares you dead in your eyes when he's talking to you. He's got great eye contact where you're like, is there something in my eyes? Like it doesn't come off that way at all.
You send the pheromone out, now it's like awkward, right?
Right. It's a Mike Tyson mentality, right? Like Mike Tyson said when he entered the ring, he never broke eyes with his opponent.
Oh,
like I make sure you're seeing me, I'm seeing you.
yeah, that is hilarious, man.
It is.
Awesome. Well, again, gentlemen, it's a pleasure doing this with you, and hopefully this won't be the last. We'll be able to do more of these multiverse episodes. So again,
we gotta avoid the TVA now. They're gonna be looking for us.
right, yeah. They're gonna jump through the portal and come get us, Nah, but again, this is a big moment, so I just want to take a little time just to recognize it. So again, it's a pleasure doing this with you all. All right, so let's get into it. So for the discussion for today, the article that we're looking at. So MasterCard invested in continued defense of global digital economy with the acquisition of Recorded Future. So MasterCard, essentially, they've agreed to acquire Recorded Future. So they're a global threat intelligence company from Insight Partners for $2.65 billion. Wow. So this acquisition significantly expands MasterCard's cybersecurity capabilities and reinforces its commitment to securing the digital economy. I'm gonna just open this up to you gentlemen. I guess we'll start with Ryan. And what are some of the things that maybe first thoughts when you hear about this acquisition?
So for me, it's one of those situations where I read an article and I'm like, it's kind of benign. It's kind of like, so what, right? MasterCard's a humongous corporation. They decided to buy this company. But then when I saw that Recorded Future was the world's largest threat intelligence company, that's when I started to pique my interest. I was like, I've never heard of you. But yet you are the world's largest, and you have all these hooks into government and into the Department of Defense as well. And that's when I started to really pique my interest. Like MasterCard now has an infinity stone, so to speak, right? To go off the multiverse.
Yeah.
Joke, but not seriously. Like they have a weapon at their disposal because, as we know, right, there's the big three, and now I'm on the spot, I can't remember it. So I know it's MasterCard, Visa, and I forget who the third one is. It's like Euro somebody or something.
I thought it was Discover.
So there's another one that's Europe and Africa.
Okay.
I can't remember their name off the top of my head because of the chip on our card, right? So the chip started over in Europe, and it was the big three decided to go that route because they wanted to take off the raised numbers off the card as well as the strip was the plan. They wanted to go chip only. So you'd have the card, so something you have, the chip for authentication, and then the PIN, something right? It was the theme. Just it was not adopted well in the States. So when I was overseas, I used to travel to Germany and Morocco a lot. I would see a lot of card readers, right? Like tap and things of that nature before they were ever in the States. Is because the adoption in the States was so slow because it cost money. And then, there's just a difference of mentality, right? Over there, socialism and things of that nature. It was like, how do we protect our citizenship as well as the bottom line for these big credit card companies? In the States, it was like, no, mom and pop is not going to upgrade their card reader, right? So our adoption was very much slower, and to the point where the strip is still on the card. Like, it still exists because everybody still does not have a tap type situation. But I kind of digress on that point, right? It's more of, I didn't know they existed, especially to the point that they were. And it's good to see that MasterCard did pull them into the fold, because credit card schemes and scams and things of that nature are so high. It does cost a pretty penny, right? They lose trillions of dollars a year in these fraudulent things, and they usually pay up. So a lot of people like myself have switched over to primarily credit cards in order to not have to deal with our banking institutions, which will sometimes deny your refund, right? They'll be like, oh, well, you left the door open, or you didn't have possession of your card or something like that. A credit card company will just pay you. But where's that money come from, right? It's coming off the backs of everyone else. The interest rates go up, things of that nature, right? APRs are soaring because of it. So if we want to kind of deflate that, then things like this have to be done. But those are my scattered thoughts.
That's what's up.
So Ryan, to your point of what you were talking about, right? So like in America, a lot of things don't get implemented unless you can make money from it, right? So like I can remember 15 years ago when I was stationed in Korea. No, it's true. It's very true. So 15 years ago when I was in Korea, and I'm pretty sure Japan was doing the same thing, I remember seeing people, again, 15 years ago, with their phones paying for items. You know how we do like the pay from the phones and whatnot? That was long before it was adapted to the United States. Again, because it would cost money, right? It wouldn't make money, right? It's not one of those things where, and that's kind of, I don't know. It's just, it's the way we are in America, right? Like if you can't make money, why do it, right? And then they'll wait. Like they'll wait for the technology to not be new anymore, and then it gets less expensive, kind of like how I do with my electronics, right? Like I ain't buying the brand new thing.
Yeah, recycling.
There, right? Like, what's this pre-used you talking about over here, Best Buy?
Pre-certified, right?
Yeah, pre-certified. Yeah. What is this you talking about? I'm gonna pay less. Okay, let's make that happen. No, like the reason MasterCard did this, to get back to the article, the reason MasterCard did this, right? They have, as of 2023, $25.1 billion in revenue, right? You want to protect that. You don't want to become a mark, right? Like everybody else out there, right? To where you're paying ransoms and you're doing all these things. So this is a step forward in the right direction. They're getting ahead of the game, right? I'll say this: they're getting ahead of the game to again protect their money, right? Like they're not doing it because they care about cybersecurity so much, right? Let's be real here, right?
Well, actually, I will on that topic, on that point that you're making there, I am blanking on the name of the company. It was the phone company that was kind of really big before the Apple. You guys remember what?
Motorola?
It was either Motorola or one other ones. It had like the little ball on the cell phone.
BlackBerry?
Yeah, so BlackBerry.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Yeah.
So BlackBerry, went into cataclysm when Apple came out. They pivoted and they actually became a cybersecurity company.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
for a while there, they were actually very, very strong. And because of this article, I kind of did a deep dive and looked at what is MasterCard's cybersecurity portfolio. They got a pretty strong one. They got a bunch of companies and things that I didn't know they really had for advanced threat intelligence and AI adaptation on how they look at the heuristics of monitoring of credit scores and accounts and things like that. Going out and getting this Infinity Stone and adding this to what they have already is this is why you're in the game, right? This is why you're a giant like MasterCard. Going out and grabbing this and adding this, I don't know. For me, the paintings on the wall that they might pivot and create something else besides it, whether that is an offering to different organizations and companies, or hey, you bank with us or you do your credit through us. Now this is what we have. I think they poise themselves to be light years ahead as leaders for this industry, both maybe even in the cybersecurity realm or pure just credit institution. So my bad. I didn't mean to jump in, Shannon.
No, 100%. This is how we do it, man. Go ahead, Alfredo.
I'll jump in, because I'm loving this hyper combo finish here. I'll give you guys which Infinity Stone specifically that we see the Thanos of MasterCard out there in the universe is collected. They're collecting the Mind Stone specifically, or the reality stone. We can't quite tell yet because they removed those portfolio acquisitions from our recollection, right? So to Ryan's point, we said to ourselves, we got to ask ourselves, why haven't we heard? So I've heard of Recorded Future, right? But what to Daniel's point, why haven't I heard of prior MasterCard acquisitions? Did they remove that from our timeline?
Right.
The only one I can kind of like, and I looked it up too, was another thing called New Data. And I have buddies in the industry because full disclosure, I'm coming from this industry and I didn't know that they could do that. They could purchase a cybersecurity company that is the leader in industry. Right. And then it comes to me, well, what's about to happen? What galactic battle is about to happen and why they need this Infinity Stone? Well, you say, all right, they are doing fraud detection, like Ryan said, but they're also building a capability to offset other bank and competitive providers. Like Daniel was saying, Discover, do they have a cybersecurity portfolio? Hell, hey, my former Armada, Capital One and Discover together, they might have a threat intelligence capability, but we don't know that. So MasterCard is getting ahead of the game with the big B in billions and saying we're going to in-house that capability to continue to be the leader in this space and continue using the data warehouse that we have and the armaments that we have in the universe to find the other Infinity Stones.
Very true.
So here's my thing to that. So the reason you don't hear about it is because nobody cares. Like you're not seeing commercials about cybersecurity. You're seeing commercials about rewards that these credit cards will offer and things of that nature.
Right.
That's what the majority of the people care about. Like in this space with the five of us, like this is exciting, right? We're like, oh man, that's cool that they're doing that, right? Like this is what is needed. Every week we do shows so that we're telling you what is going on out there and what is being, attacked, what's being gone after, where the soft targets are. Like we talk about these things, right? In the articles that we present. So I don't know, man. Daniel, I hear what you're saying, but I still think it's all about the money, right? The revenue.
Right. If it don't make dollars,
it don't
make sense.
Right.
But I'll say
on that.
Go.
Real quickly, let me go, Daniel, because I'll pivot to you, right? The money is always the bottom denominator, and then there's conquest. Right? Like Acqui-Hire. So there's a book called The New Kingmakers. It's exactly about what we're talking about, what we don't know in cybersecurity, so why they buy the technology instead of building it themselves. There's definitely, and it's exciting for me, but it's also that moment like, how the Avengers lost the Infinity War and they're like, we got to go find Thanos now. We got to go after Thanos and go and augment the timelines. Because as a cybersecurity professional, MasterCard kind of has me worried to why they need this fraud detection capability. What's out there in the universe that we don't know about as cybersecurity professionals? Because, I don't pay enough to the bank processing, money movement, the PayPals of the world, the Plaid of the world, all the folks that are in their particular realm, in their multiverse, don't have this capability now. And they bought the leader. Like, I could give you a few, right? Threat Connect, Anomaly, right? OpenCTI. These folks are in that same space and still exist in the universe. Why did they take the leader of threat intelligence out? And for your record, they own the Cyberwire podcast, right? So Recorded Future sponsors and owns the Cyberwire podcast. So they have a podcast capability.
That's very interesting too.
Right.
Hey,
please do.
Yeah.
Yes. To Shannon's point, please leave the duffel bag here. And
but you actually hit on a point that I wanted to make too, because I looked at that. Why not CrowdStrike or some of the bigger name ones? Why Recorded Future, which is the industry leading? And I had to do a deep dive, what sets them apart. And I didn't know this. Their analytics for preemptive intelligence.
Yeah, proactive. Yeah, 100%.
Yes. So, and it's true. It was funny because I met an old friend of mine. He works in the blue-red team space before he transitioned to another career field now. But even he was saying that cybersecurity is so reactive in nature sometimes that he had coworkers that were just getting burned out because it's just breach after breach after breach. At the end of the day, they were like, "Why are we even doing this? We're just getting ransomware. No matter what kind of tools we have at our disposition, it was never enough." But Recorded Future has a very good use case and platform where they're very proactive on tailoring their intelligence gathering and letting whatever specific industry they're in, let them know, hey, these are the things you need to do before anything even happens to you, so it won't happen to you. And that's what really sets them heads and shoulders above everybody else in that space, from the CrowdStrikes and those people. So, so we have a doctor in the house. Doctor, what do you think? What are your thoughts on this?
Well,
I like that.
So, for one, I was familiar with Recorded Future, but I was not familiar of their wide reach. So this was enlightening to me. And I guess one of the questions that I come up with is for one, are we going to see something similar? Maybe not so much as an acquisition, but even like maybe just like partnerships, maybe with like other banks, maybe start doing this type of thing to try to bolster their cybersecurity presence, and then what is that going to look like for the end user? Like, what are so because I feel like when it comes to like when we talk about breaches, these things happen. It's you're not even surprised anymore when it happens because you pretty much almost expect it. So now, will this put more onus on, let's say, Mastercard? So if there is a breach, you're working with a cybersecurity leader and you still got breached, like what's going on? Like, will they be put themselves? Is this more of a risk that they're taking on when something like that does happen? Could they be susceptible to like maybe higher fines or more public scrutiny because you've bolstered with like I said, a cybersecurity leader like Recorded Future? Does that kind of put them in a place where they're going to be susceptible to more scrutiny? I see Shannon's about to jump
We
in.
could tag team this too if you want, Shannon.
So here's the thing. They have to do a better job of advertising. It's about minimizing risk, right? Like that's what needs to be understood, right? So like from us, we know there's not a 100% solution. Well, let me say
Right.
the 100% solution is to stay off of everything and become a Unabomber living out in the woods somewhere. That's just not,
Hey.
it's not reality. I'm just saying, right? But that's what they have to do a better job of advertising. Like even though they've made this big splash, like yes, I think they have made themselves a target, right? Because now this is one of those things where like you got all these hackers out there now. They're out there doing the Birdman. They're like, oh, for real? They're like, this is what you're doing?
Yeah. We got credit card data. We got approval rates.
We have to get all of this, right? So they just need to do a better job of promoting, hey, understand that because of this acquisition, we are looking at minimizing risk. There is no 100% solution because we say it all the time. There just isn't. You know what I'm saying? Alfredo, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I'll tag into that. So to Dr. Joseph's point, and this is gonna, knock on my door a little bit. I used to work at a wonderful place called Capital One. Shout out to them. Don't send us any letters, just send us the bag, right? They want the smoke. Let me just be really, 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 really serious. MasterCard wants that smoke, and they want other banks to say, come to me when you have a problem. I'll give you the threat intelligence now. I'll pair up with the ISAC because your platform may or may not fall short. And I'm thinking, I have them in the back of my mind because to your point, you don't see really banks buy cybersecurity solutions, but they do buy other banks. So they do buy other capabilities that say, thinking the one that comes to mind, the big boy in the room is Goldman Sachs, right? Do they have this capability? They're well in the industry. They're the incumbent. Capital One and Discover, Snowflake, right? They're all getting their arsenal together because when this stuff hits the fan, when the shit hits the fan, they want to be the leader to say, we have all the fraud intelligence that you need. Now, let's get a little salty too, right? Does Visa have that capability? We do. Come to us, continue to rely on us as the incumbent. And when the government comes knocking and says, who has this capability to show me where the fraud is? Only one stands out and comes to mind starting now. Right. And then the other threat intelligence folks have to get in lockstep and say, well, wait, what do we do? Do we partner? Like to your point, do we partner up with a bank? Which one? And then why is it so important to your point, Shannon, when I have a car approval, appraisal on our house, I'm shaking thinking about it, right? New address, whatever we do to get approved in credit and a breach happens, who has my back? We said this on another episode, Dr. Joseph. Which company's going to have our back when that happens? MasterCard saying I'm about that life. I'm going to have who it is, what it is, which bank did it, their address, their retina scan, all on Recorded Future because I did it proactively and preemptively. So hand me the fine, right? Hand me the fine and I'll insulate this from the other guys who may not be able to have this capability. And I'll set the standards. So I'm a big guy about industry standards. When there's absence of regulation, a compliance hit. Shout out to Tammy Allen who taught me this, right? Tammy Allen and I worked at the same place. She taught me that there aren't many people that can find the bad guy and say this is a legit synthetic hit. They have something called a synthetic, profile where these guys fake like they're Shannon and me who try to maintain our OPSEC because we do that. And then they go and get approved for a house. Well, MasterCard said, we see them. They're not who they are. That's not Shannon and Al. That's this other person who just got, $100 million credit line approval. Who else are they using? Are they using JP Morgan? Are they using, what the Fidelities of the world? The insurance folks might get in the game too because they can't do this. So they're the disruption we're seeing now, who we didn't know, right? As cybersecurity professionals to set the pace. They're like the pace car in the race now. Like y'all can catch up when the race starts,
So some of the cybercrime. So cybercrime is projected to cost about $9.2 trillion globally in 2024. So working with Recorded Future, a couple of things that MasterCard aims to accomplish. They want to provide enhanced threat intelligence to its network of merchants and financial institutions. They want to develop more robust cybersecurity practices, drive synergies and intelligence gathering. And lastly, they want to expand its capability to anticipate and mitigate emerging threats across the payments ecosystem. So when I think about that, I wonder, as far as I always kind of look at things from the educational piece of things.
Right.
Do you think we'll see a shift in maybe or the advertising or promotion of like PCI DSS, certification certificates, coupled with maybe AI given Recorded Future background on that? Do you think we'll start to see a shift in to trying to support, this type of venture? Like we'll see more emphasis on maybe PCI DSS, more advertising, more promotion of it, as far as, or just to say how important it is to have this type of background.
So,
got it.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, I think so, because there was just a recent revision, right? So PCI DSS went through more stringent change, and there's a lot to do with, the protection of your VLANs and data segmentation and more pen testing and things of that nature. So I do believe so. But I think just in general, there's a big shift within the field to be able to not only mitigate risk, but bounce back, right? So resiliency is very big right now. So me as a consultant out there, right, as I talk to people in the vCISO capacity, I'm hitting up their BIAs, right, business impact assessments. I'm hitting up their disaster recovery, their incident response plans. Like that's a big push right now, because it's not a matter of if you're going to be breached, it's when, right? Because like you said, $9.2 trillion crime does pay. It's not going to go away. People are going to continue to target companies until we stop paying them and until we better protect ourselves. So in the meantime, I think that the major shift is going to be, how do you quickly bounce back so that way you mitigate those risks, you stop leaking PII or PHI, and as well as you're able to not lose a lot of money in the recovery. So that's just my 2 cents.
100%. I'll take it real quick, Shan. I know you. I'll pass it to you next too. The thing that I see that I have not seen in the whole FS industry is the value add to attribution in PCI DSS now, right? So just reach out with me for a second, right? No one can add the attribution in the standard of that compliance to I did my know your customer, right? I had the intelligence on who got sanctioned, whose loans got approved, where they came from, the metaverse that they exist in, IP addresses, IOCs, file exchanges, bigger internet exchange, wire exchanges, excuse me, that's what the word I was thinking about. And now I can provide that when you have a compliance miss and hit. Because what's going to happen, and we all seen this in our stories that we covered, is they want to know the minute indictments are handed out. No other bank has that capability to give you that all source attribution on the wire today. So that's what I think MasterCard is literally continuing with their regular book of business and setting the standard up for the entire FS industry when there's a compliance hit and when people miss the goal in that compliance and the fine gets handed out. They can now provide that value add. To your point, I'm trying to increase the consultancy as well, but I can't think of anybody that has that attribution capability to say we have the threat intelligence ahead of time, to Daniel's point, and we're selling that. Right, they're going to sell that capability in the sector to everybody that uses MasterCard today. I mean, look at any bank that you have that's not Visa, it's MasterCard, right? So any bank can get, figure that out. They're going to provide that service on behalf of, let's just be real, the person in the room that we're not acknowledging in the regulated industry, the U.S. government. And the regulated industry, it all bubbles back up to the top to who has the capability I need right now. And how do I reach out to them, right, when there's an incident or a compliance gap, or when I need attribution to this fraud, criminal network, right? This ring of people that consistently use MasterCard for malicious things.
So, Dr. Joseph, to your point, so like I don't know if it's because of where I work and what I'm in. So like I work with the DoD. I am seeing more of the PCI DSS being utilized, right? Like so, like I have a friend that works for a very very big company, right, and that works with the DoD a lot, and they are a lot of their people that are there. They are going into that realm, right? Like they're doing the sec DevOps and things of that nature and working with that. Like I am seeing it more, but again, it could be where I am. Because Daniel kind of pointed this out to me last week. Like we're in different scopes to where we see different things. I saw something differently from how he did, but it's because of where I'm at, right? And like there are different experiences I have in the DoD where I'm like, sometimes we'll do a show and I'm like, why isn't everybody doing this? Like I've been doing this for 20 plus years, you know.
That happens a lot.
There it is.
And I'm like, like I've been doing it. What do you mean people aren't doing this, that, and the third? You know what I mean? Like it just so like that matters, you know what I mean? But I am seeing it more, like I said, from a friend of mine who works for a very big company, very well known, 3 names, you know, that they're utilizing that. So it may already
Shannon sees the trend in data. I'll leave the world analogies. It's here. The spike in the timeline. Sorry.
Here's the thing. Here's where MasterCard has to be careful, right? So, like, if the Avengers taught us anything, it's to go to the head, right? So you don't have a second movie, right? So, like, maybe MasterCard put a target on their back. Put a target on their back now, to where the hackers are like, all right, I got Stormhammer or whatever that thing.
Right.
I'm gonna take care of it right now. You know,
MasterCard's building Stormhammer.
Yeah. And just I'm sorry, just to follow up. So I hate when I put out some information, I don't completely finalize it. So the EMV chip was created by Europay, MasterCard, and Visa. So those were the big 3.
Europay. There it is. Europay.
Yeah. So that helps the other company.
The silent player in the room too, right?
Yeah.
Now we got to get all the market research on Europay and their threat intelligence capability, or lack thereof.
Right.
Yeah.
So
you know what's one thing? Oh, wait.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say the one thing that the article does talk about that I found a little not confusing but kind of funny was they said that they added that Recorder Futures added to MasterCard to essentially expand its horizons to reach more, but they're already providing this service to 50% of the Fortune 100, if I read the article correctly. So they're already pretty much out there. Or maybe when I was doing my Googling and my research, ChatGPT spit out that bit of like information, which I was surprised. So they're already very well recognized in the field, especially in the US. So I don't know if MasterCard's international reach maybe is kind of what's also kind of beneficial in the eyes of Recorder Futures. Like, hey, you can get with MasterCard and then start expanding overseas more too, and even cast a wire net of our threat intelligence and what we do and offerings.
So Dan, you make a good point, but I'm getting a little bit of shivers too as well, cyber shivers, right? I'm gonna make that a thing. What is about to happen? Why? So when you say, would you say, okay, 50% of the Fortune 500 in the
Fortune
US,
100,
100, excuse me,
whichever is bigger, like whichever is like more expensive. That's the one they cover.
Translate to more money, right?
Yeah, they got the top of the top covered already. Yeah.
Right. So my instinct is here in cyber. Like, why do they need this global? Right.
Yeah.
What's about to happen?
Yep. Yeah.
All right. So no, I think this is a very interesting topic, and very, I think I like to see how this is going to play out. Whether we're going to see maybe other similar institutions do this type of thing, where they're going to bolster with cybersecurity leaders to help bolster their cybersecurity posture. So it should be something to watch and see how this continues to develop. We're getting ready to wrap up here. Again, this was a great time spending with you all. I think, again, this type of thing doesn't happen enough, so I hope we get to do this again in the near future. It was definitely an honor to work with you all, because it's pretty surreal, because I mentioned I was listening to you guys other side of Firewall, before I even got started, to now we're in the same booth. So I think it's pretty cool. So again, I appreciate the time working with you all, working with you gentlemen, and I look forward to doing this again in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. It always like kind of blows my mind when people say, yeah, we've listened to you for X amount of time, because it doesn't feel like we've been doing it for that long, right? Like, yeah, the episode ticker keeps going up, right? We're like 640 something episodes. Like, I think it's like 646 or something like that. But we have fun, right? Like, it's just me meeting with friends. Like, I've worked with everybody I've had on the show, right? Aside from guests. So, like, my co-hosts, like, I've worked with them for years. Like, even though me and Daniel hadn't spoken in 8 years, we worked together for like 4 or 5 years. So it's just having a fun conversation with people of like mind and just making things palatable. Like, this conversation should have been very boring, right? We're talking about credit card
Yeah.
companies, interest rates, things of that nature, but it's fun. And
Yeah.
I really do enjoy that. And I hope to obviously keep it going, but doing more collaborations with like you guys and just all the other podcasts that are out there for people of color and women trying to join the field and things of that nature. Like, there's a lot more of us than we perceive, right? And it's just a matter of just getting our voices out there. So
Absolutely.
again, I greatly appreciate you sharing this with your audience as well.
No, absolutely. Yeah, so as we just go quickly around the virtual room, just last thoughts before we sign off. Shannon.
Loved it. I would love to do this again. This is awesome.
Same.
Daniel.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Same. I now don't feel like I'm by myself. It's great to like to your point earlier, Shannon. It's a great community. I'm glad we're here, and I hope to partner with you and continue to do future collaborations. Because now I don't feel by myself after 15 years.
Right.
Daniel.
Awesome. Can't wait to do it again.
Awesome. Well, again, gentlemen, thank you again. Definitely appreciate the time. And thank you to you, those listening to the show. Thank you for joining us for the special T1 episode of the Cyber Coffee Hour and the Other Side of the Firewall. The Cyber Coffee Hour is part of the Alive Podcast Network. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, explore more engaging content in the Alive Podcast Network app. The Other Side of the Firewall is a member of the Heroes Media Group, HMG, and the product of RAM Cyber LLC. By supporting this podcast and nearly 100 other Black hosted shows, you can enjoy ad-free listening while contributing to a diverse range of voices in the podcasting space. We appreciate your support and look forward to sharing more insightful conversations with you in our next episode. So until then, keep brewing those ideas and stay curious about cybersecurity. That's it. That's a wrap. We out of here. Peace.